All right, and we are live, Chris.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to our Facebook Live broadcast of Your Home Show. I'm Chris Weniger here along with Rebecca Guerrero. What are we doing? It is all about your home. We take a look at educating and advising you, whether you're moving up, buying your first house, moving down, or relocating or refinancing.
Yes, welcome back, everyone, to episode 35. It just keeps going so quickly, and we are excited to have Paul Cook. I'm going to mess this up, Paul, so maybe you want to
Kluskowski.
say
You're
your
doing
last
fine,
name.
Rebecca. It's Kluskowski. It's a
Just
bit of a
like
tongue twister.
Kluskowski, who is an investment specialist and tax consultant with Cobalt Tax Services, and he's going to tell you what you can do to best prepare yourself for tax season, which is just around the corner.
Yeah. But first, our fine history fact for today. Today, kind of a silly one. It's International Hot Food and Spicy Day today. So get out there, get you some spicy food, and don't forget your heartburn medication at all. I don't know about you and Paul, Rebecca, spicy food, so for me. I don't know about you guys.
Well,
I have a limit.
Right. If it's a little too spicy, you can feel it.
Oh, very good. So another spicy topic here as far as what's going on with the market update. You know, we love to bring you as far as what is new going on. The stimulus, we're waiting on that all to be finalized. Here's a little bit more information. Unemployment, there's people still applying for unemployment. So we're going to watch that number closely. On the docket, minimum wage is going to be $15 an hour. Now, let me repeat that. On the docket, not yet, but they're proposing $15 an hour for minimum wage. Eviction and foreclosure moratorium has been extended to September. So again, the eviction moratorium to September, along with the foreclosure to September. So again, no evictions, no foreclosures until September of this year. First-time homebuyer tax credit and or credit, we're still waiting to see if it's going to make it in the final bill. Retail sales came in pretty weaker than expected. So it'll be interesting to watch how that kind of plays out with the market. And here's another thing, is kind of an odd thing, but one of the things that we should watch is it's called the case freight reading. And what does this mean to you? It costs producers more to ship their goods. Well, guess what? If it costs them more, it's going to cost you more to buy those goods. And we're going to watch this since it could have a major impact on inflation. And why do we watch inflation? Remember, inflation is the enemy of low rates. So Rebecca, any of this new stimulating for you at all?
It is very stimulating. And normally I'm all like, yay, this is all great news. Some of this, not necessarily, but what is still great is interest rates are still low. So if you are thinking about purchasing a home, getting an investment property, refinancing your home, now is still the time to do it, because you never know what's going to happen and rates could go up. I mean, they are so low. We don't really know how they're going to get any lower. So now's the time. Make sure you do it. If you have any sort of questions, please reach out to us. We want to answer those questions for you and help prepare you for the future. And hopefully that means a lower monthly payment with those lower rates.
Yes, and in addition to, we're watching that stimulus bill as far as for that tax credit. There's a lot of chit chat around that, so we will keep you in the loop on that. So in honor of Hot and Spicy Food Day, we're going to get this spicy talk going on taxes.
So spicy. It's exciting stuff. So thanks again, Paul, for coming on the show. We really appreciate you coming on, because like we're saying, tax season is right around the corner. And for those people who generally, they're new to filing taxes, they need to know what they need to know. So thank you for coming on.
Well, Chris and Rebecca, thank you for having me. I really appreciate this opportunity to chat about some of these things. As we get started, just want to make sure everybody's aware of some of the things that I'm going to say may be somewhat technical and specific. Just want to remind everybody that everything we're talking about here today is for informational, educational purposes to help you work with the right professional to help you make decisions in your specific situation, because we are all different when it comes right down to it in different circumstances.
Right. Just like we've talked about on our previous shows, every situation is different for purchasing a home. Same goes with taxes. So what's good for somebody doesn't mean it's good for you as well. So just making sure that we're all aware of that.
Right, exactly. Now we are going to have a complicated tax season this year. And the reason I think it's under all of our noses, it's in plain sight. 2020 was a very difficult year for many of us with the COVID crisis, with a lot of unemployment, economic incentive payments. It was a complicated year in many regards. And because of that, many of us are going to have some different tax returns this year that are maybe different than anything we've had to do in the past. So this is going to really drive gathering up all of our paperwork, which is going to start coming any day now, either electronically into our email inboxes, or it's going to be hitting our actual postal mailboxes. And so be on the lookout for all of the W-2s, the 1099s. There's going to be a new form this year, the 1444. And there will actually be two of those for many people, a 1444 and a 1444B. Those are for the economic incentive payments. So if you got two economic incentive payments, the one earlier mid-year and then the one that just happened now, you'll be getting two of those. So be on the lookout for those. And those are a little more, how do I want to put it? They don't quite jump up and down and saying, hey, I'm a tax form, I'm a tax form. They look a little more like a letter. So now if by chance you didn't save those, all is not lost. Just check your bank statement and make sure that you can capture what your economic incentive payments were. Now, the interesting thing about those is that what we are hearing is that nobody's going to have to pay anything back around their economic incentive payments. However, if you got shorted for whatever reason, and there's any number of reasons why maybe your payment was a little smaller than it should have been, you'll be able to work that out on your tax return and get the money as part of your tax preparation process. So for just a lot of different reasons, even if you use one of the do-it-yourself tax platforms, and there's a number of them out there, there's nothing wrong with those. I think most, if not all of them, have what I call the phone a friend feature, where even though you're doing it yourself, you can start a chat or get on the phone with one of their tax professionals who can help walk you through some of the decision making and how to get all the boxes filled in correctly and make sure that you get this right. Because, and I will be careful to tell you this, is that one of the places that the IRS looks is they look for people using the do-it-yourself platforms, and they do find errors in those, and that will oftentimes get you a letter, and nobody wants those. So again, don't be bashful about reaching out to someone in particular for this tax year, just because it was so different. And as well, not only do we want to make sure that you get your tax return populated correctly, but there are also a number of tax credits and other things that are unique to 2020. An example of that is if a person had to take a withdrawal from their IRA or 401k because of some adverse financial consequence, the IRS is waiving the 10% early withdrawal penalty for those taxpayers below 59.5. However, it's got to be correctly represented on the tax return in order to get that. And so again, there's some things unique to 2020 that you may not be aware of, but a tax professional will be. And this is where those conversations just become invaluable. So Rebecca and Chris, are there any other ideas or things that maybe we could touch on for people here that maybe people aren't aware of at this point that might be helpful to them?
Yeah, well, I mean, what we have are some questions that we always want to ask everyone, so we can make sure we touch on those and see where that conversation takes us to. And the first question we normally get for everybody is, how long have you been in the business? So why don't you tell us how you got into the business, how long you've been doing it for?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I'm a 20-year investment advisor with TR Financial. And so I've been doing that a very long time. And as part of that, since I'm in a partnership And so we have a partnership tax return. So for many years, I've been doing the books and heavily involved with the tax return preparation for TR Financial. And as you can imagine, over the years, you pick up a few things, you learn the ins and outs of taxes. And I just found that to be a very fascinating area of work. And so I, over the last year, have become a enrolled agent. That's an IRS designation. And so I'm able to represent taxpayers before the IRS just as a tax attorney or a CPA can. And so I'm doing tax returns under Cobalt Tax, and so it's a separate business, but same guy. I'm the same guy in both of those businesses, and so this will be my first official tax season. However, as I mentioned, I've been involved with all of the tax work for my own company for a number of years, and so I really serve. The people I can serve the best are the people who are most like me. So it's the self-employed professionals and the small business owners, but also people who are employed but have complicated situations. So some of the people I've already started working with are people with stock options through their employer, or they have a side business of some kind. Those sorts of situations that maybe just complicate your situation beyond what one of the do-it-yourself platforms facilitate for people who don't want to be the tax expert as well. So that's a little bit about me and how I do what I do. And yeah, so if that helps.
So real quick, Paul, when you're not clocked in, what do you like to do?
I am an avid reader. I always have been. And I read mostly for informational purposes. I'm a self-confessed info junkie. And so I just love knowing lots and lots of different things. Some of my interests are really surrounding business. So, I'm very fascinated by marketing. Big fan of Dan Kennedy's books on marketing, and just love all of that. Obviously, over the years, I've read many books around trading and capital markets so that I can engage the markets effectively. And also, I have done a lot of reading, research, and what have you around the tax situation, in particular for small business owners, simply because it just makes sense to manage one's tax situation effectively. And so that we're minimizing our tax bill while still staying between the bright white lines so that we don't end up getting those awful letters from the IRS that nobody wants to receive.
I like that, the bright white lines.
Exactly.
Well, so Paul, you kind of touched on this earlier, but I just want to reiterate, what are some of the things that individuals can do to prepare for tax season? Like, what are some of the documents that I should be looking for if I'm going to send everything into a tax professional?
Yeah, great question, Rebecca. So certainly most people are going to get either a W-2 or a 1099. So certainly get those things gathered up. Want to remind everyone that if you were on unemployment during 2020 because of any reason, as many were because of COVID, unemployment is taxable income. And so you'll be getting a 1099-G for government that will reflect what your unemployment payments were. And so if you didn't have taxes withheld from those, for sure, you're going to want to be talking to somebody who can help you get some estimated payments worked out and be mentally prepared for what the tax bill could be on that. So again, if you are unemployed, remember that's taxable income to you. The economic incentive payments, that was an advanced tax credit, so that will not be taxable for people. However, as I said, if you think you may not have gotten everything you should have gotten in those 2 rounds, again, have that conversation, have the amounts ready when you talk to your tax professional so that they can give you a thumbs up, thumbs down on whether or not there needs to be some adjustments on your tax return for that. Certainly any 1099 miscellaneous, there's a new 1099 NEC this year, which is non-employee compensation. So if you were an independent contractor for someone, as many people have been in recent years, that's a new form that will be going out to people. And again, that's taxable income. Make sure you get those all gathered up and handed into your tax professional. And what's important about those is that all of those 1099s, the W-2s, not only do those get reported to you, but they get reported to the IRS as well. And so as part of the tax return process, the IRS does some matching and they look to see, do all the 1099s, W-2s, all those other things that they've received from people who have paid you, does that match what's reflected on your tax return? And if it doesn't, then you'll almost assuredly get one of the dreaded CP 2000 letters in the mail at some point in time telling you how much extra tax, penalty, and interest you owe. And so again, none of us wants to receive one of those. And so really it's gathering the right documentation. And that time is really right now. Now, one of the traps that a person can fall into is that many times these documents are delivered electronically in this day and age. And so if you're not on the lookout for those, if you're just watching your mailbox as an example, you may not get everything that you need just showing up in an envelope. So again, be cognizant of who may be giving you tax forms, and you may actually have to go look for those in a portal or an email or something along those lines. Now, the other aspect is that individual filing opens up February 12th with the IRS. So that's the soonest anyone's going to be able to file their tax return with the IRS as an individual. And so just keep that in mind. And that's also one of the things you can do to help prevent fraud is to get your tax return filed as quickly as possible. Because what happens then is you block your social security number from subsequent tax returns being filed using your number. And that is a gimmick that's out there for some people where they will try to file a fraudulent tax return using someone else's information to get a refund for themselves. And so the advice is file early as you possibly can, at least to head that off.
So Paul, sometimes we have customers that take a withdrawal from their IRA or 401k for their down payment. Is it best that they pay taxes at that time of withdrawal, or should they wait when they file the taxes the year they withdrew them?
That's a great question, Chris. I always recommend that people pay the tax at the time of the withdrawal, because what we don't want to have happen is to have a significant underpayment in the taxes that may incur a penalty. And so to head that off, I tell people at least hold something out. Just to make sure that you've made a payment to avoid that underpayment that could come up at tax time. And then again, it heads off some of the quick scrambling for, to raise the cash, because as we know, when you buy a home, there's no end of things to spend money on after that with the movers and furniture and this and that. And it becomes, it can be an expensive time for a person. And so better to just have that tax worked out in advance. So great question. And I appreciate that.
Yeah, I like that you had mentioned that. I mean, because you can do it either way, and everyone's different, again, like we said, but it's easier to say, I want X amount of dollars, just take out my taxes already. So then that way I don't have to pay it later. It's already, it's done. Here you go. We're good.
Right. Exactly.
So what is one of the biggest mistakes that individuals make during tax time?
Waiting till the last minute, I think, is probably one of the biggest mistakes. Because what happens is a lot of people, unfortunately, do that. And then you get caught in the rush at the end. And then everybody's crowding. And then the tax person is often feeling stressed and hurried. And it just creates this error-likely situation for everyone. And if you're expecting a refund and you wait too long, you may find your tax person telling you, I have to put you on extension. I just can't get to you because you didn't get here soon enough. And so then you end up waiting on your refund and all those things. So I think the best advice is just start gathering these things up. They all have to be in the mail to you by about the end of January anyways. So, a person should have pretty much everything by mid-February without too much difficulty. Just get in line, get somebody lined up, get in the queue so that you're towards the front of the line instead of towards the back of the line. And it just makes everybody's lives easier.
So you were stating that the earliest of filing is in February, and then the tax deadline is the infamous April date, correct?
Exactly. Filing opens up February 12th. The IRS will start accepting returns electronically then. And that's the preferred way to file too. You can always file a paper return. However, even the IRS will tell you electronic is preferred because it gets it into the system, and then there's no data entry errors. And the other thing we're hearing from the IRS is that they've been affected by the COVID crisis as well. There are tractor trailers full of mail bags at some of these IRS facilities that they're still going through. And so physical mail is a difficult endeavor for the IRS right now for the same reasons as we've been impacted. So you want to do electronic filing if you possibly can. And so that's February 12th. And then the deadline right now is still April 15th. There's whispers going around that it might get it, but don't believe any of it. It's April 15th. Drive for that and make that your target to get that done. So.
Well, I mean, like Paul was saying, you want to do it as soon as possible. So don't wait and hope that there's an extension.
Exactly. And don't wait, thinking, I've got till the end of March, if I got a week or two. Don't fall into that trap either, especially because, as I say, 2020 is just a unique year in so many regards, and taxes and tax returns, it's just one more way that 2020 is going to be unique. And get in line, talk to someone, and just get the wheels moving so that if there are some things that need a little additional attention, you've got the time that you can, get those things pulled together for yourself.
Well, have you been hearing that the people that file tax and they get a refund, do you think that it'll take a while to get the refund back, or is it just like normal?
Best advice on that is to have your bank's routing and account information on your tax return, and just let the Treasury directly deposit the refund into your bank account. That is by far the fastest. It's safe to do it that way as well, and because we know how regular mail is moving. So if a person were to request a paper check, what we're hearing from the post office itself is first-class mail can take as much as 3 weeks to make its way through the process. And so those are all things, and I've experienced some of that myself with moving mail around. So yeah, the fastest way to get it is to electronically file a timely tax return, and then put your bank's routing information on the tax return as well, so that the Treasury can go ahead and just get that sent right straight into your account.
Perfect. Well, I think we've kind of touched on most things that we wanted to go over, but do you have any last thoughts for our viewers today, Paul?
Again, in times of difficulty, challenge, stress, seek out the appropriate professional for whatever you're endeavoring to do. I know that there's do-it-yourself mortgage providers out there as well. And, and I wouldn't discourage that. I wouldn't, knock them. But, again, there's nothing like the human touch in so many of these things. And I think that's one of the biggest things that we're all missing right now, and with the events of the last year, is that human contact, the human touch, the human interaction. And so whether it's taxes, investing, mortgages, seek out the human touch wherever we can, and get some of that expert advice for yourself. I've never regretted getting good advice, and I don't think anyone else would either. So that's my final thoughts, Rebecca and Chris.
So Paul, if how do we get a hold of you, or how do our viewers get a hold of you if they're interested in your services?
Yeah, certainly. Just give me a call, text message. My cell phone number is, if you're ready, is area code 202-421-4466. One more time, that's 202-421-4466. That's a Washington, D.C. area code. Don't be put off by that. I lived in downtown D.C. for 6 years, and I tell people I like this phone number so well, I'm never getting rid of it. But I am a Minnesota guy now. So yeah, I am here. Just give me a call, send me a text message. I happily talk to people. Or you can go to my website, cobalttaxservices.com, and there's a contact me feature in there, and you can read a little bit more about me and what I do, and get to me through there. So those two.
Just to confirm, you can file in other states too, correct? Such as Wisconsin?
Correct. Yes, I can file in more states than just Minnesota. So that is correct. Yeah, thank you for that clarification.
Well, great information today. We really appreciate it. We're also going to put your information in the link below once we are done shooting today. But with that, talk to us, viewers. What do you want to learn? What do you want to know? We're all excited as far as for the new shows coming on up. We're booking guests into March already. So if you're interested in being a guest, message us on through Facebook. We would love to hear from you.
Yes, thank you again, everyone, for tuning in. And thank you again, Paul, for coming on. We truly appreciate your expertise in the tax services for all of our viewers.
My pleasure, ladies. Thank you.
Yep. So here comes the compliance for everyone who's watched the show before. Your home show is sponsored by CG Home Loan Partners, a Fairway Independent Mortgage Corporation, and MLS number 2289. We are licensed in Minnesota, Wisconsin, and California. Chris Weniger, NMLS number 225608. Rebecca Guerrero, NMLS number 1728384, and Carrie Guerrero, NMLS number 209015. Fairway Independent Mortgage Corporation is an equal housing opportunity. This is not an offer to enter into an agreement. Not all customers will qualify. Information, rates, and programs are subject to change without notice. All products are subject to credit and property approval. So if you have not done so, make sure to find us on Facebook. Give us a like, follow us, comment, share. We would love to hear from you. So thanks, everybody. I hope you have a great weekend, and we will see you next time.